Loftus now, who's Vice President of the CWU Communication Workers Union, who can probably say a thing or two about some of their industrial struggles at the moment, having coming out of one, going into another one. But we'll talk a little bit more about some of the specifics of the programme, the emergency programme. Thanks, Jane, over to you.
Thanks, Sam, and obviously good evening to everyone, and solidarity greetings from myself and from the CWU. When People Before Profit was starting to be launched, it became very, very clear, and John's explained it, that we need to join up all the campaigns. If you looked at what had happened at the beginning of the pandemic, how people had responded to different things the Tory government were doing, there was different, like community action. There was also different independent stores taking action and everything. And then there was workplaces taking action. And it became, to me, and I think what I think is inspiring for an organisation to be based around, is looking at everything and trying to unite everything so that we show our solidarity. Not only do we just say it, we actually do it practically. And within the pandemic, as I think we all realised, which we already knew, but actually power in your localities and in your communities has rapidly been taken away. And we need to get a grasp of that and to actually struggle. John's mentioned the budgets. I dread to think what the council budgets are going to be like, the attacks that are going to come from there. And to me, when you see all those disputes, those new people getting involved, I mean, the Nurses United and the nurses who've gone around, young activists, I mean, loving it. Do you know what I mean? But yet some of them were having battles with their own unions because they were asking for, you know, for more than what the union was prepared to ask in terms of pay rises. I know people were getting pulled in. Yet they're the future of the trade union movement, those people who are willing to stand out and campaign and build within their workplaces. I mean, that's an example of the nurses. The teachers, when you go on calls with them, you inspiring teachers who for the first time have got active, extremely positive. But if you look at that campaign, that not only united the teachers, it was also the students as well as the parents. So giving information that people agreed with, knew about, and then was able to campaign about the return to schools and have some power. I mean, the pandemic has laid society bare. And to be honest, in another different time and place, and it's definitely not this, you would have thought you'd use this time to reset everything. What do we want in a future society across the UK and across the world? Literally, that doesn't benefit the people who are in power. It saves them, okay, and as you said, the transfer of wealth. If you look at some of the stuff in terms of the contracts, the money wasted, you know, we're in a pandemic, as John has said, we don't know when it's going to finish, but track and trace still doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? And any part of any solution, whether you've been vaccinated 10 times, you will still have to be able to isolate and that. But that's about how capitalism regenerates itself and about how this government does think of us, the working class. I mean, it become very clear. I'm more the Royal Mail side, and we were in talks, and ours is a bit of dispute, so I won't go into it all. But we were in Zoom talks with management, and I can tell you what, they're not in our bubble. They are certainly not in the bubble I mix in. They're in a bubble where home working's fantastic. They're saving thousands of pounds. They can see that as the future. Yet for other workers, you're either going to get forced back to work or lose jobs. I mean, this is what BT are doing. Everyone's working from home, but they're going to outsource those jobs outside of the UK, even though they could keep those people working. People are going to exploit the situation. So business people do not pay the price, and neither do the politicians. And then we come down to, well, where's the opposition come from? And we want to make sure the opposition is as loud as possible it can be. So that means any campaign you have or have had in your area, you should be speaking to the people. What can we do for you? You know, people will be involved in food banks. People collect in the local streets where we know union members say on a Tuesday between such an hour, if you want to leave a bag of shopping for the food bank, leave it at my house. So you know people are coming out campaigning, trying to clean up their areas. I've never seen so many entries. I mean, I live in Birkenhead, and the entries have all been cleaned, and people are trying to make their own life better. But then you look at what jobs are on offer and what rights, and we're talking as union members, and this is with reps in every workplace, with health and safety reps. What about the unorganised, the ones who aren't in unionised industries? And I don't know about you, I've got friends who've literally been said, take a 15% cut or you don't have a job. And they take the cut. And they've not questioned it, and they've done that. And they're then cut back on everything else. And, the fact that we're squabbling in government about the £20 universal credit, it's an absolute disgrace. The school meals, everything. And to me, that shows there's, in some ways, we've got MPs and we've got John and we've got MPs across the country who are fighting, but there's no an organised opposition that is putting a blow on the Tory parties and Johnson. They're getting away with every bit of spin. If you say to people now, it's like, oh, well, they've got the vaccine now, Johnson's all right, as if nothing else has happened. But at the end of the day, people don't even trust the fact that they'll get to the end of the vaccine, because people can't trust them. And I don't know about you, but I know the frustration of, if you hear Matt Hancock on television, I'm somewhere else and I'm shouting through, swearing through, I've heard enough of them. Do you know what I mean? And that is the reality for the majority of people. And they need the confidence and the support to be able to deliver for us. So I was on, we had a solidarity.
Can I just give you one more minute, Jane?
Yeah.
Sorry to...
Right, no, and there's so much to talk about. I was on a solidarity meeting just before with the gas workers, right? And the bloke who was on it said, we had to go on strike because I've got a young family and losing money. He said, but now it's become more important. It's not just about my family. It's about the whole of society, about the hire and fire and rehire. And you can see people changing. And that's where people before profit is that link, is that bringing together on all the issues and expanding people's horizons and what we can achieve in this period. Because if we don't achieve it, we know what is expected, and it's more austerity, and it's a decade for those children and young people who will not have a future at all, no matter what they do. So we need to make sure we up our organising, up our solidarity work, and make sure that people are supported so that they can deliver the action, they can deliver the blows to get rid of the Tories. But we also need to make sure the opposition, Labour, stand firm. We cannot carry on where they let the Tories roll over and then say, well, we'll get in next election. I've spent 39 years getting told they'll get in next election. And when they did have a leader who had a brain and was sensible enough to get us through a pandemic, all they did is attack him and internally attack him. So to me, we have to stand together, show solidarity, bring more people with us, and make sure we deliver action, whether we're in lockdown or out of lockdown, and make sure our rights are there and our civil liberties aren't taken from us. So thanks everyone, and thanks Sam, and keep up the good work, because you don't know how much it does make a difference to people. It really does in their confidence.